What's up? What's up? What is up, everybody? We're here again. We got another stream going. It was just on Hobby Hotline. I think so it's on the Bench Clear Media YouTube right now. I think that it will get uploaded to the Hobby Hotline YouTube channel soon, probably the next day or so. So go check that out. Let's see. Where do we want to start here? So let's start with the big news in football right now. So we've got big trade. We'll zoom in here a little bit. We got the Bears trading the number 1 pick to Carolina for the number 9, number 61, a first rounder next year, a second rounder in 2 years, and then DJ Moore. So from a card perspective, I think I don't know. I'm very torn on quarterbacks because it's really the only position that has a lot of volume in terms of buying and selling for football. But at the same time, it's also like, if you're trying to buy into these players long term, you have a significantly higher chance of busting on an investment than you would if you're switching to another sport. I mean, quarterbacks, they're always hyped up as like the next big thing, no matter what. Like, it's rare that you see a quarterback come into the league and people don't like the quarterback. It's rare that it's rare that you're gonna find a quarterback that people don't like, I guess is one way to put it. I think from my perspective, I don't necessarily know, especially buying rookie quarterbacks in their rookie year, that's got to be one of the most risky investments you can make. If you're flipping the cards, fine, that's good. But if you're buying them for the long term, like, that's something I would almost avoid at all costs, because like I don't know what I wonder if anybody has ever put out like a bust rate percentage like of quarterbacks, but it has to be fairly high. I mean, especially first rounders. Like, I mean, you look at like coming into this year, Trey Lance was like the guy, and then he has one injury, and then Jimmy Garoppolo has an injury, and then you have Brock Purdy, and Brock Purdy doesn't really have that many cards out, but his mosaic card is still selling fairly well. But like, you know, I don't know who's buying those cards. Like, that's kind of the other thing that I'm thinking about. It's like, who's out here buying Brock Purdy cards? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, there's no way that the 49ers have a Trey Lance and they start Brock Purdy over Trey Lance. And if they do that, then there's no way that they don't trade Trey Lance. But also from if you're the 49ers and you have 2 quarterbacks that are good, like, why would you, unless you're getting like the first pick, like unless you're getting a high first round pick, there's no point in trading a Trey Lance to a team that's like, because then you have a backup. Because it's like, I don't know. Also, the other thing too is like, I don't know how often quarterback injuries are happening, but like, we obviously saw the 49ers had terrible luck this year when it came to their injuries at quarterback. Like, and it's very, I don't know if it's boom or bust. And I don't know if it's like you should be, because also the other thing is like you look at the top tier quarterbacks, a lot of them were drafted pretty early in the first round. Like obviously Brady is the exception. Aaron Rodgers, first rounder. Russell Wilson, I believe, was a second or third rounder. Trevor Lawrence, first rounder. Justin Herbert, first rounder. Tua, first rounder. And then Justin Fields here. I think this is a vote of confidence for Justin Fields, as well as the fact that they're getting like a very established good player a good weapon for Justin Fields to play with. Because like they did trade for like Chase Claypool. Unfortunately, they got rid of Allen Robinson over the past couple of years, so he would have been a pretty decent option there. But like, and maybe this is me having PTSD, to be honest, because like the Patriots is my team, and they haven't drafted a good wide receiver like ever. Maybe like Julian Edelman they drafted, but like he wasn't supposed to be what he turned into. You know, we drafted and these names are probably people never heard of. People have heard of N'Keal Harry, but like he was supposed to be like the next guy for the Patriots, and he stunk, and then they got rid of him. He was injured the whole time. You know, there's Malcolm Mitchell. There is Chad Jackson was a wide receiver that they drafted that turned out to stink. Like there's just been a bunch of wide receivers that the Patriots have drafted that turned out to be busts. And like I said, maybe this is me having PTSD from that, but like I would rather, instead of drafting a player, and in this case, they weren't necessarily drafting a wide receiver probably at 1, but like rather than using, you know, maybe even this number 9 pick, for example, like why not trade this number 9 pick for another good player? Like in my opinion, like I just think that I'm not a GM or whatever, but in my opinion, I think that you should be trading draft picks for actual assets, because best case scenario is that draft pick that the person that you're drafting turns into as good as that asset is. Like, let's just say the Bears, I don't know. I guess in this scenario, it's a little bit different because they also got DJ Moore, who I think is extremely like underrated when it comes to, I know he was like a fantasy guy that everybody was really high on, that he didn't really pan out as well as maybe he could have. But like, I just think that like you should be trading these high picks for players that are, you know, in scenarios like the pick is going to turn into as good of the player as the pick is. So it's like, I would be trading picks, or even trying to trade picks and maybe not get like a superstar, but like trade for other picks. And I think it was Barstool Big Cat. He had the GM of the Bears on, and he was like joking with them about trading all of these picks for just more picks. But it's like the Patriots have also done this in the past too. They love trading down, which like I think they have I don't know what it is about them. Like they have a good eye for certain positions and a really bad eye for other positions. But either way, I think, you know, the other big news that came out of the NFL was that Tua, they signed his 5th-year option, which is wild that we've already get to the point where the 2019 quarterbacks are signing 5th-year options. You know, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, another guy just played in the Super Bowl. All those 2019 quarterbacks are signing their 5th-year options, or they're going to be signing, you know, massive extensions, and we'll see what happens there. But it's like it's just crazy how quickly time passes, that these players are already signing these. They're already signing these contracts. But the Tua thing, like I am worried about Tua just from an injury perspective. Like the injuries he had last year are like potentially. Like I don't know how you have such a devastating concussion, and then you go out and get another concussion the same like 2 weeks later. It's like, I don't know how that doesn't affect you long-term or short-term. Like, sure, maybe he's recovered, but it's like, I mean, I don't think I've had a concussion ever, but it's like, I can't imagine playing a contact sport like football and getting a concussion and like laying on the field with your hands all messed up or whatever. So I don't know. I mean, I think, like I said, with quarterbacks, when it comes to cards, I think there is a interesting perspective. Like when it comes to you're buying potential, but sometimes the price of that potential is already baked into the price that it's already like upsale. Like you're already paying for the player to turn out in the end of their career to be like Aaron Rodgers or, even Russell Wilson. Like you're paying already for that player to be a superstar. So I think that's where quarterbacks can be a little bit dangerous, and you got to sort of potentially watch out if you're buying any quarterback cards. Like it may be worth, like, if you really like a guy and it's a 5th or 6th round guy, they're on a team that like could potentially make a quarterback change over the next year or so, that might be a guy that I would be more willing to buy than like a Justin Fields or Mac Jones, for example. Like these quarterbacks who the price of their cards are already inflated because that's just what it is within sports cards. And I've had this take for a while when it comes to position players, position player cards specifically. Like I've always thought it was strange that those position players never got the love that I thought that maybe they deserve. And I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know why, like, I think we are seeing a little bit of a shift, but I think it's like a shift that's going to come from new players rather than old players. Cause like you could go out and buy like Emmitt Smith, for example, or a Barry Sanders, or, even like a Lawrence Taylor, like players who are considered the best players at their positions. I mean, I guess I don't necessarily know if Emmitt Smith is considered that, but like, Barry Sanders, Lawrence Taylor, they're both players that are considered the best player at that position of all time. You could go out and buy those cards for like, you could buy like multiple of them for the same price as if you're looking at like a Joe Montana. I mean, even you could compare Jerry Rice, Joe Montana. Like Jerry Rice may be a little bit different, but like still, like you could buy multiple cards of legends, of position players compared to a quarterback. And you could even like mid-level quarterbacks, like you could probably buy multiple position players for the same price as those quarterbacks, because that's just the way that the sports card market works. And is it right? I mean, it's what the market says. I know that there's a lot of people that sort of have the same sort of sentiment within cards and within football cards, but and I guess I don't necessarily know like what would have to change for there to be a change in the market for position players versus quarterbacks. Justin Jefferson, I think, is a player that has potential to change that. I mean, he's becoming sort of like the face of wide receivers when it comes to like players in the league right now. And I think, like, if you look at, I'm actually going to go to Card Ladder right now. Let's open up and just look. We can just compare players right now. Let's go to Card Ladder. Oops. Did I click on it? Yeah, I did. Hold on. Let me go back here. Share this tab. I just have to log in here. I hope this is the password. Actually, no, I don't think that's right. I think it's the other email. But I do think that's the password. Yeah, it is. Okay, so we're gonna go to Card Ladder. Let's see. Can we make this larger on the screen here? Let's take a look. How is that looking here? Oh, you know what? Actually, let's just do this. We'll make that full screen. We'll go to compare. Justin Jefferson, Prism, PSA 10. And then let's just, I guess we can go Joe Burrow. Like, I don't know exactly who to compare here, but we're just going to look at like, who's another, I guess we could look at Justin Fields too. Justin Fields, PSA 10, maybe a little bit different. Let's see. So yeah, comparing prices here, Justin Jefferson is essentially half the price as Joe Burrow. And that's over the past 3 months. I don't even really I'm just gonna keep it at 3 months because, like, I think I'm gonna go like a year, and these charts will be like pretty wild. Yeah, I mean, actually, not even terrible to be completely honest. Like Joe Burrow being at 300, like sure, you lost 30% year over year, but like I think even if you go 2 years, it's probably a lot worse. Yeah, 65%. That's not great. But okay, so like let's look at 3 months here. In the past 3 months, and Justin Jefferson even has gone down where Joe Burrow has gone up. You look at population report from the same year. Yeah, you look at pricing and Joe Burrow, 219. I guess we could put Justin Herbert in here too, just because Justin Herbert. Nope, Herbert. Is that how you spell it? PSA 10. I mean, I guess this is a little bit closer here. Like Justin Herbert hasn't been like crazy than Justin Fields, obviously, just because he's kind of part of the news. Actually, let's add Tua because he's been in the news as well. Tua, Mosaic, now PSA 10. I think too, like I kind of had this conversation the other day when I was talking about Ja Morant, Prism PSA 10. Oh wow, so that's even pretty way down farther. Actually, I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, I can leave them in here, but like Tua dropped 50%, but like he got picked up. So it's like I guess maybe I want to do 2 weeks. Tua I don't know. That's weird. That's because he even dropped more, and now he's up because of this news probably. But just over the past 2 weeks, like, but still, you look at like population report from that 2020 product, like people are still grading that card. And then you also people are still grading the quarterbacks at almost, I don't even know, I guess percentage, like 4 times more. They're grading 4 times more of the quarterbacks versus like a Justin Jefferson. Let's see. So 2020 draft. Let's see who else we can like look at from that draft here. 2020 NFL draft. Let's see. Chase Young, not a good example. I'm probably not going to use him. Let's look at Henry Ruggs. Yikes. Jerry Jeudy. That's not even going to be close. Jalen Reagor, not even going to be close. CeeDee Lamb, I guess that's maybe another player that we could use and just see where he's at. I bet you his is. Did I spell that wrong? No. Is there an extra E in there? Lamb? What am I spelling wrong here? Let's grab it from here. Maybe, is he not in card ladder? What am I doing wrong here? Oh, because I need to put him in here. Yeah, even at 40, like, I'm just going to take out Justin Fields so we can get the data here. I mean, even he's at less than half of what Justin Jefferson was compared to number of population And I mean, price too, like $40 for a CeeDee Lamb Prism PSA 10. Like, I don't know if this is telling of the product or the player or the market. I think that these numbers I think that they make sense, to be honest, like compared to where they might have been like, a while ago. Like I said, like let's go back to 2 years ago. CeeDee Lamb, he peaked at $150. And now he's sitting around 40. So I just think overall, like the players, you're going to see that people just want quarterbacks more. But I also this is the thing that doesn't make sense to me in a way, because I look at these numbers. And I think why wouldn't somebody spend $40 on a CeeDee Lamb if they like CeeDee Lamb? And I bet you Dak isn't even crazy. Oop, I did it again. Let's look at Dak Prescott. 200. So his price is very similar, and I think if you look at population, if you look at population of that Dak card, almost 1,400 compared to CeeDee Lamb, 600. I would say that there's definitely less Dak Prescott cards, even ungraded, than there are Joe Burrow. I mean, that 2020 Prism product was really where we saw a pretty significant jump in the production of it. I think you look at market cap too. I think all these numbers are interesting to look at. Market cap, 1.28 million for, which essentially is price versus how many there are. Dak 270K, CeeDee Lamb 28K. These are the numbers that I look at that don't make sense to me when I'm comparing quarterbacks and position players for football, which is why ultimately I feel like there's going to be a shift at some point, but I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know when the shift is going to happen, why it's going to happen, because I thought it was going to happen over the past few years. And it may even be just the fact that I think we have seen a shift in the market overall, which has maybe affected potentially what we could see from the pricing of these quarterback and position player cards. The drops in significant price over the past couple of years, maybe that's why we're not seeing the position players, because people that are buying football cards, on their mind, they don't even have position players aren't even something that they have on their mind of a card that they would want to buy, because quarterbacks, if they were buying football, they were most likely buying quarterbacks, and they dropped in price so significantly, they don't even want to think to go and buy a different player. But I mean, I guess maybe even this is one of the players I was talking about, Lawrence Taylor. See, I definitely didn't spell this right. Lawrence Taylor, PSA 10. I mean, it is actually a little bit wild here, but there's also, where's that card? There's only 185. So also this card is probably a little bit out of, if you're buying football, I can't imagine you're buying this card most likely, just because, but still you look at the market cap is almost the same for Burrow and Lawrence Taylor. And the Lawrence Taylor card right now is almost 6K. I mean, so I wonder where that was it's 7. So it's still dropped about 25%. But I mean, it's not like the 85, 65, 67, 82, 75. I just think that similar to prospects and rookies, nowadays, I feel like you should just be flipping rookies and not investing in them, if that makes sense. I think you probably have to get to a point, if you're buying rookies, you should just be buying and selling them. You shouldn't be holding them because like the value of holding them, unfortunately, there just isn't any, because like we've seen over the past few years, the significant drop in these cards. I think also even like a Brady or like an Aaron Rodgers or even a superstar quarterback has seen a pretty significant drop in their price over the past few years. I think there's just a readjusting of the market, and I think for the most part, we're up above the like COVID 2020 increase from like 2018, 2019. But obviously from that boom, we're down pretty significantly, which, I don't know what the reasons are necessarily. Like, I don't know. And I don't think there's necessarily one reason. I think it's probably a lot. Like, I think when they hit those peaks, I think a lot of people probably sold, which when you get more sales, that drops the price. I think also, people aren't buying as much as they were maybe back then, or maybe people got into the market and they sold and they didn't really get back in with the money that they sold. Like maybe they were buying and selling, but they were buying and selling, but the money that they were making, they didn't put back into cards potentially. That could be one of the reasons why. But either way, I think the quarterback market in general is one that you should be looking at for flipping, and it's one that you should be keeping an eye on if you're trying to watch data and figure out, like, if you're new to football cards, it's one that you should keep an eye out for. But like over the next few years, like, I don't know if we're going to see a shift, or if we don't see a shift. Like I said, I thought we were going to see a shift over the past few years, but maybe there was a market correction. So like the shift couldn't happen because people just weren't buying. I don't know. I don't know there, like from that perspective. I'm not 100% sure like where those expensive cards went compared to. And to be honest, it could be that like, it could be just the market itself. Like it could be a similar thing that happened with like the Topps 2020 project, where the market went up significantly, which led to more people buying the Topps 2020 project. But what that led to was that the print run for Topps 2020 project obviously was determined by how many people were buying. The print runs for Prism were done by Panini, but it's like there was already going to be an increase in that print run regardless. So like people bought into Prism thinking it was going to be what Prism was in 2017, 2018. But it turned out that like the 2019, 2020, 2021 Prism wasn't as valuable because the market had shifted away from, or people were buying it because they were expecting it to be what the market was. It was much more reactionary than maybe people thought it was going to be. So that, I think that could be the reason why there was such a shift there. Let's see what else we got. This was kind of an interesting little, so Darren Rovell put out this tweet. Let me make it a little bit larger. Didn't really make a difference. I guess it kind of did. Yeah, so Darren Rovell puts out this tweet. Most cards graded by PSA. Gem Rate's a great resource for data when it comes to graded stuff. They do a lot of like great tracking on how many cards PSA is grading. A lot of like, I don't know if they have back-end information or if they're using like the PSA certification numbers on cards, or where they're exactly getting their data from. I would imagine, they know, like they have good percentages on like where, like what cards are being graded, like who's graded what. Like, let me see, I can go to their Twitter here and see, like, yeah. So like March 1st, February's grading recap, PSA graded 1 point or just above 1 million cards. CSG graded about 100,000. SGC graded about 92,000. Beckett graded about 57. CSG population reports been under maintenance, was on pace for 25 to 30K. Yeah, so they put out this information. I'm guessing they're just pulling the data from the actual websites realistically, because I think all this information, like if you are tracking it, I think it's all pretty public. Like how many cards PSA and all these companies have graded overall. I think that number's public knowledge, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, let's go back to this list. The list is not super surprising, I guess, but it's like, it's kind of crazy that like the Zion, Ja, and Luca all have more, that all are in the top 10. And I would say Kobe has probably risen pretty significantly over the past few years. LeBron makes sense. I mean, Ken Griffey has, if you look at card ladder, I'll pull up the number, but like, actually, I can just show you here because the indexes will show you indexes. Let's see, high population. I like looking at these. Mid pop, low end. Where's the high pop? High pop right here. So these are pretty much going to be the cards that are the most graded. Score, we're going to go to population. Yeah, so like you look at the top 5, they're all 90 or they're all 89 Griffies. And then it's crazy, Zion's in that. Zion PSA 10s are in that too. That's kind of the other crazy thing. Actually, wait, let me close this out here. John Morant's in there. Ronald Acuna's in there. Derek Jeter. Fernando Tatis. I wonder what this is. These must be just together. But then, yeah, Luca in the 19,000. But like, yeah, it's just crazy that like overall Ken Griffey has like 4 cards that are over 29,000 graded. Like, because then you look at like the next closest, it's 23. So I'm actually surprised that Griffey isn't higher. That maybe it's because like these are like the most graded. Like this upper deck card, I think is probably, if you take, actually, no, it probably is this card. If you take total population, actually, we can just see which one pops up first when we scroll down a little bit. Also, this is sort of wild. Gavin Lux is in like the top list here. Let's see which one pops up for Griffey. Another Griffey here. Yeah, okay. So I think it's the tops traded. Tops traded must be the highest graded card in total because it's number 1. The PSA 9s are 46,000, which that card only came in like one of those, like they used to make the like Tops update. I think it's essentially, I think it used to be that it came in like a set of like 100 cards. Like the Tops update essentially was like rookies that weren't included in other Tops. And then I think it was like players that switched teams, essentially Tops traded. That's why it's called that, I think. So that's for one of the reasons why they just made so many of those sets like at the end of the year. Like that's when that set came out. In 89. So it's like they knew that there was going to be a demand for it. So they just made so many of them that like there are 46,000 PSA 9s of this card. Like, and it's crazy because then you also look at like the upper deck Griffey, which is, actually maybe the upper deck Griffey is number 1. It's one of these two are number 1, but that's kind of the point here. It's like, it surprises me that Griffey isn't higher on this list. I mean, I guess number 3 is still pretty high, but like I'm surprised that he's not number 1, to be honest, with Michael Jordan having 1.1 million cards graded by PSA. That's insane. I mean, and it's also insane because it's not like he's on, like he's here, but this isn't even like 1990 Fleer is like the highest graded card, at least from this list. I'm pretty sure this pulls all the top populations of cards. Also, Luis Robert having, 30. I'm not going to try to do 36K total for PSA 9s and PSA 10. That's pretty crazy. And then his top Chrome, 18,000. So it's like, wow. But yeah, so like Jordan, for example, let's see where other cards that he has on this list here. I probably passed some, to be honest, but like it's pretty remarkable that Jordan has so many cards graded, which means that his other sets, like here's another 80, 90 Fleer, 12,000, which I guess I'm wondering just in total, PSA 5K, so almost 6. Let's see, PSA 9, 23K, PSA 8, 12K. Yeah, it's crazy that Jordan has so many graded cards, because I think people just sent, I actually wish, I don't know, maybe they have this data, maybe they don't, but I would be interested to know where these, because honestly, let's take the like player that had the most recent release, so like Zion or Luka. We could take from 2018 to now, or 2019 to now. I guess you could take either one, but I would be interested if you took the data and you looked at the numbers from like 2018, 2019, like how much those cards increased in total population. Like, were there, if you look at those numbers, like let's go back to 2018. Did this list look similar? Like, did Jordan have like, 500,000 or 600,000? And because Ken Griffey, he probably he probably was number one on the list, I bet, until Jordan and Charizard recently took over. I think Charizard that's probably one that over the past few years has gone up pretty significantly. But I mean, obviously Zion, Ja, Luka, those cards have all been graded in the past since 2018, 2019. So I also would be interested to see if the graph went like up and then down significantly. I'm going the wrong way here. If it went like up and then down and then up and down, or however the data went for some of these players, like newer players, obviously they're going to be, their chart's going to be straight up. But like Michael Jordan, I would be interested to see if his went like up and then continued to go up and then went down and went up again, or when those cards were graded, I guess is kind of my main thought process here. Cause like, it's just wild that Jordan has 1.1 million, like, especially when he's not on that list that I was just looking at. But there isn't, and then, I mean, Pikachu at number 5, like, I guess I maybe thought that might be a little bit higher, but like Charizard being a number 2, like that's not surprising. Like if you look at, let's say, the Grail cards, or the cards that everybody looks at in the hobby when it comes to trading cards, like the original Charizard is like the number 1 card. And then even in like newer sets, I think people are still chasing that Charizard when it comes to cards that they're submitting to get graded, or cards that they're looking at to buy, or cards that are coming out of some of the new boxes. Like all in all, like I wouldn't be surprised if that Charizard, because the Charizard, I'd be interested. We'll never know. And this is something that I wish we could know, is like print runs on those cards. Like I wish that this number also include, which there's no way to say, or actually, I guess maybe the trading card companies must have a spreadsheet with the number. Like maybe not in the past, but like recently, like, so I would be interested to know, like, of the 375,000 Zion Williamson cards, like, does he have like 2, 3, 4, 5 million total cards that haven't been graded, or that have been made and that weren't graded? Like, because like with Jordan, for the most part, I feel like a decent amount of the cards that Jordan have been sent for grading. Because like if you get a Jordan card, it's like, I feel like that's almost like it's prestigious in a way. Like actually, and I'm also kind of surprised, I guess maybe I'm not surprised Tom Brady isn't on this list. Like no football players really, which I think that's just like Brady, for example, he didn't have that many cards, to be honest, made during his rookie year, and throughout his career, he had more created. But either way, like, yeah, like I said, I would be interested to know how many cards Jordan has had created, and then versus how many are graded. Like, what's the percentage? Like, is it 50%? Like, does Jordan have 2 million cards created? Because he hasn't had cards really recently. He's had like Upper Deck cards because he has that exclusive with Upper Deck, but like there's been no Panini, there's been like no Prism cards. So it's like a lot of his cards were probably produced in the 90s. And then some of them, because none of the Jordan cards would be licensed that are coming out recently because Panini has the basketball license, but the Jordan is a upper deck athlete, so he doesn't have his likeness in any Panini products. I mean, it would be interesting to see like if Topps somehow could get Jordan from Upper Deck. I mean, that would be insane. Like same with LeBron. I mean, I think LeBron is number 4. That's not super surprising either. Like if you look at the eras that a lot of these cards came from, LeBron, Kobe, even too, Zion, John Morant, Luka, like they're all good players from the era, but also they're all coming from an era in sports cards where like so many cards were made. So it's kind of a combination of both, in my opinion. Like, let me see, actually, let me make sure comments are enabled. I haven't gotten any yet. So if you are in the chat and you have a comment or a question, let me know. Let me see. Or if you haven't watched the new TikTok or the new YouTube video, that's also live as well. Which, let's see, comments. I don't think it should be fine. Allow all comments. Oh, maybe there weren't. Okay, well, whatever. So comments. Hopefully, maybe some people leave some comments. I guess it was disabled or something. But either way, that should be all set now. Hopefully, category sports. I should have looked into this before going live. Whatever. It's all right. But yeah, all of these players on this list were some of the best players of their era, but they also came from eras in sports cards where so many cards were produced. I actually think that this puts the Zion Ja into perspective of how many cards there are of these players. But at the same time, I also think that grading in that 2018, 2019, 2020 timeframe became much more popular than it had been in the past. Like the grade and flip became such like a profitable system for a lot of people that like it makes sense that, Zion, when he's coming out of college, Ja, when he's coming out of college, like those cards are being graded and sold so quickly because of how many people were buying, and because those cards were selling so easily too. Like I think ease of sale is another reason why you're seeing some of these crazy. Actually, I should have done this before. Zoom in on the list. I should have done this. Oh well, it's all right. But either way, like the ease of sale of these cards. Like if you look at anybody on this list, if you have any of these cards, I almost guarantee that it's easier to sell some of these cards than it is to sell any other players or any other, when it comes to like Pokemon. When it comes to Pokemon, it's much easier to sell those cards than it is any other cards within the hobby. So I look at it from that perspective as well. Let's see what else we got. Talk about World Baseball Classic a little bit. Oopsies, no, I want to keep sharing. Yeah, we'll talk about the World Baseball Classic a little bit too, because where is that one? The lineup for the USA is like absolutely insane. Let's open this up full screen here. Yeah, lineup for the USA is like crazy. And, I think I saw an article that said like the Czech Republic team, some of their players have like regular jobs. Like some of their players aren't even like professional baseball players. Like I would think it'd be funny if like, I think it's Alexander Ovechkin is from the Czech Republic. If they got like Alexander Ovechkin or like some hockey player to like play in this sport, like, because now I think they're in the group stage now, and I'm actually I'm not 100% sure how the like bracket play works, because right now there must be like a division that's like APAC. I think it would be like the Asian Pacific division, and then there must be like either a it's either North America or like this side, because like all of the like APAC teams are playing in Japan. They're playing at like the Japan Superdome, or at least maybe, I don't know, maybe I've just seen a ton of highlights of like the Japan team, like which the Red Sox just got a player from Japan, like the hot prospect or the hot rookie from this year. He's on the Red Sox, and then Shohei Ohtani's on that Japan team, which is pretty cool. And they've been like broing out, which has been like, that makes me a little bit excited because like Shohei Ohtani is going to be a free agent coming up. I don't necessarily think he's coming to the Red Sox or anything, but like if that other player, which I actually don't know how to pronounce his name, unfortunately, yet, I'm sure I'll learn this season when I'm watching some of the games. But like if he gets Ohtani to come over here, I mean, to the Red Sox, I mean, that would be insane. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. I think Ohtani probably stays on the West Coast most likely because of like that Japan connection, where like a lot of the West Coast is the closest area in the United States to Japan. So like I would imagine he probably stays over there. But like, yeah, like I said, the Czech, and then sorry, then the other division, like the US, like actually maybe I'll pull up the ESPN World Baseball Classic schedule here. Let me go to ESPN World Baseball Classic schedule. We will switch to this. Oh, and then I got to go full screen here. We'll switch here. So like Arizona, Florida, Japan. I'm not going to even try and pronounce that. Japan, Tokyo, Arizona, Florida. So I guess maybe is there like, standings? Maybe there's two different. Pool. Well, there is pool play, but I think some of the pools are playing here in America, and then some of the pools are playing in Tokyo. I'm not 100% sure, but like, so tonight is which if you're listening to this at a later date, this game would have already happened, but no. Saturday. It's still, Saturday, Chase Field, Arizona. Pretty sick. Pretty cool. Then you can go see Dominican Republic, Venezuela. I mean, the Dominican Republic roster is like, it's just as good as the like United States roster. Like, Dominican Republic World Baseball Classic roster. Let me see starting lineup. Maybe that's what I want to look up. Starting lineup. Let's see if there's an easy way to look at this. If there's, let's see. We'll share the screen here. Dominican Republic roster. I mean, there's rosters, but I want to look at like the starting lineup. Maybe I can just go to one of the games. Have they played any games yet? No, I don't think so. But either way, so Dominican Republic, crazy roster. Switch over here. We'll look at the schedule coming up. I mean, Japan, obviously they've got, that's like a crazy squad they've got over there. Japan over Korea 13-4. Japan, let's see. I mean, Ohtani is obviously, the captain basically. Yeah. I'm not going to try and pronounce any of the names of the players on this team. But let's see who are some of the other, so like the Czech Republic team or something. I was reading an article that like half of the team like aren't even professional players. Like apparently they like have regular jobs. Netherlands is also a good team. I mean, I think that the World Baseball Classic, it's cool to see it back because I think it took a hiatus because of like COVID and the pandemic and stuff. So it's definitely cool to see. It's definitely cool to see the World Baseball Classic coming back because, baseball is definitely one of the sports where it's an American sport, but like the world is still very good at it. Like it's, unlike like basketball, for example, like I think that the how do I want to word this? The field of players in basketball, like if you look at if you look at like the Americans, or if you look at like an American team in basketball compared to baseball, like, yeah, the Americans are still like, they still have like a pretty amazing team, like squad in general. And it's at times, if you got the best players, because the other thing is like with USA basketball, like that roster could just be like the best roster every single time. But it's like sometimes our top players don't end up wanting to go there, which, can be unfortunate at times for sure. Let me just switch. My one headphone died. Speaker. Let's make sure we're connected. But yeah, like I said, it's exciting to see. It's exciting to see international competition. I think it's always fun to see, whether it's World Baseball Classic or it's international basketball, or World Cup. Obviously, that's a totally different beast. I don't think you even really can. America, for soccer, they're making a little bit of a comeback, or they're not even comeback. They're starting to become an international presence. They're starting to have a team that's at least a little bit decent, but like overall, like baseball is an interesting sport where it's like America is really good at it, but like there's also so many other countries that have like amazing players. Like, Netherlands has like Netherlands has sorry, I'm blanking. Xander Bogaerts. I was blanking on his name because he did give me PTSD from leaving the Red Sox, unfortunately. I'm gonna pull up this tweet too, actually, because Topps came out with the World Baseball Classic set, which I think is a cool set. It's maybe not necessarily something that I'm out here trying to buy, but I do think it's cool to produce a set. I also love the design too. Like, I think the design sort of it encapsulates sort of the global aspect of the sport really well. Like it's got all the colors and kind of the way that the card is, the design is, all the pieces fit together really well. So like I said, I'm a big fan of the design of this product. Overall, like I think Bogaerts, there he is on the Netherlands. Yeah. Then Luis Robert. I should have saved. Actually, did I? Let me just go through my messages here. See if I can find the World Baseball Classic roster that I saved, because I think it was the Dominican Republic was just like, it was just as good as the US. Like, it was like Luis Robert. Actually, I'm not even going to try and name the names because off the top of my head I forget. But the roster itself was like just as good as like the American roster. Which, like, if you look at the American roster, it's insane. It is kind of like, I don't know if it will never be as big as something like the World Cup, but I do think it could be. I guess it could be interesting to look at, like, I don't know. The amount of talent is, a lot of the talent's over here in the United States too, like in the MLB, which is really good. I think a lot of the Japanese players are still in Japan, but there are still, like, that's kind of the pipeline, I guess, is like, if you're playing in Japan, you play in the I forget the name of it, but I think it's the NBA, or no, the NBL. I'm pretty sure. No, I forget what the exact name of the league that they have over in Japan is, but it's the league that Ohtani and Ichiro played in before coming over here to the United States. So I don't know. There actually is an Australian baseball league that like plays, because Australia has opposite seasons as us. They have their season goes on during our winter, because that's their summer there. I would love to see some sort of partnership there where potentially because I have seen some players, like I know the Milwaukee Brewers have a partnership with a team over there, and they send some young players. But I would love to see some more young players, maybe I don't know, playing year round. Like I don't know, it's something where maybe you get to the pros and it's like that's not what you did. You did it you probably your whole life, depending on where you kind of grew up, and maybe it's like you get to the pros and it's like, okay, now I can take a little bit of a break because I'm here. But I mean, some players like they probably need the extra amount of playing time over there. So I don't know. I would like to see I'd like to see that happen. Well, I guess we don't know necessarily whether uh there isn't like a MLB partnership with that league, but I don't know, or even like an MLB partnership with the Japanese league. Like I think the MLB, if they want to grow the audience, they need to potentially try and branch out when it comes to what they're trying to do internationally, and get maybe more notoriety on some of these players before coming over here, or you know have teams like figure out a way to, I don't know, teams that maybe don't make the playoffs or something along those lines, like go over and play in sort of a different setting. I don't know. I don't know exactly what they need to do, but I think it would be cool if they did maybe potentially look into playing overseas, or playing in the Australian league, or playing some of these Japanese teams, or something along those lines to kind of grow the audience. I think that'd be kind of interesting. And that for the ML for let's see, do I still have that tweet up or no? For USA. I mean, we got Trout's obviously our best player when it comes to that. Trout's obviously our best player, but then Trey Turner, Mookie Betts. I mean, you look at these are like, if you look at the MLB right now, these are like, I mean, Trout and Mookie Betts are maybe 1 and 2 when it comes to best players in the league. I think Paul Goldschmidt won the NL MVP last year. Nolan Arenado is always kind of in that conversation for MVP. Pete Alonso is another player who I think I'm happy to see him playing in this. He hasn't maybe lived up. He's a good player, but obviously breaking the rookie record when it comes to home runs. Like, it's going to be hard for him to, really get better than that, I guess. Cause I mean, he's also one of those rookies that was a little bit older, similar to an Aaron Judge, who was a little bit older when he came into the league. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think that this game is actually, their first game is today. Yeah, Saturday against Great Britain. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? Let's see. Let's actually go here. We're going to look at SlabStox Instagram and just kind of, things would be interesting. I'm trying some new stuff with the stream a little bit. I'm trying to add some more content scrolls, stuff along those lines. So yeah. We have to log in to access the large images. Okay, hold on. Let me do that then. We'll stop sharing. We'll log in. Heroes for sale. Might get a text about this security code. Yeah. Not going to tell you what it is. All right, we're in. Don't save login now. Okay, share screen again. This video is funny.
Ooh, orange as well. Let's make it a nice orange then. If we can have a nice purple, let's have a nice orange. Alec Thomas, rookie debut.
And then here's, I watched this earlier. This is funny. Oh, yeah. Nate with the big pull there. Love to see it. Is there a way to scroll in here? So Young or Stroud. We got 2 Bowman cards. I mean, obviously, I forget if I talked about it on live stream or if I talked about it on Hobby Hotline, but like the Bowman cards, I mean, I think the Bowman cards look phenomenal, especially with the licensing now that Topps has on the NIL deals. Like being able to include the logos is like, it's such a massive move for Topps. I think the change is like, it's incredible for them. I'm super excited to see what they've got planned going forward with that set. And then, so they asked the question, Young or Stroud, which quarterback is going to go number 1 overall to the Panthers? Let's see. I mean, let's look at the Panthers. I guess if they're probably going to draft a quarterback, I would imagine. We kind of touched on this a little bit when we were talking about the like trade and Justin Fields and all that kind of stuff. I mean, just based on the NFL, I feel like Stroud might be he might adjust a little bit better to the NFL because he's a little bit bigger than Bryce Young. I mean, I think Anthony Richardson's another player that's on a lot of people's radar when it comes to quarterbacks. Yeah, Richardson, that person commented Richardson, taking Richardson. I think that's an interesting conversation there. Let's see, Aaron Rodgers. That's been sort of another kind of big. Aaron Rodgers has been another big topic of conversation within the NFL recently. He is going to get traded or he's not going to get traded. I mean, I don't really even know, to be honest, like what's going to happen with him. Like they're saying if Aaron Rodgers gets traded to the New York Jets, does his card have a chance of bouncing back to 2,500 by the end of the 2023 NFL season? The expectations of last season were immense for Rodgers and the Packers, and with how poor last season went, it cratered his market. Are you buying in on the mini spike stats sales data from Card Ladder? Lou Janou, I need to get him on the show. Future New York Jets NFL quarterback Super Bowl. That's funny. Lou is obviously a big Jets fan. I wonder if so it did spike in like at the beginning of the season. I mean, I don't know. I think sometimes, in my opinion, with these types of cards, when you get to a point where, especially with like Aaron Rodgers, for example, like when you get to a point where Aaron Rodgers is in the news, it's a little bit too late when it comes to trying to flip the card. Like, I think if you buy it now, there's a decent chance that you could see a little bit of a spike, let's say right before the season, like if the Jets get him or like right after the trade. But I think like timing of flipping a card, like an Aaron Rodgers card, especially at the price tag, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I think there are better opportunities, less risky opportunities, and maybe even some people look at it and say, well, isn't Aaron Rodgers the opportunity that people are looking for? And I guess maybe you could look at it that way, or maybe I look at it and say that there's a lot of risk when it comes to the price of the card right now versus like the upside. I think that I don't know, maybe Jordan Love is that like, I always am looking at what the secondary move is potentially rather than like the move. Cause like the first move feels like it's a little bit too obvious. And I'm going to try and compare these here. It's like chess, where it's like in chess, to my very limited knowledge of the game, to be honest, I'm not like a player. I don't play very often, but the moves you're making are to set up other moves. So it's like, if I were going to maybe buy an Aaron Rodgers card, I would maybe look at Jordan Love over Aaron Rodgers because that's where, the opportunity is. Or maybe you're looking at like a Zach Wilson if you think that he's good. I don't necessarily think that he's that good, but like there's maybe an opportunity there. Like I definitely think with like Jordan Love and Zach Wilson, there's more of an opportunity for a flip than there is with Rodgers because of the price. Especially specifically with this card, like you're still looking at like $1,000 card, where if you're looking at like a Jordan Love or a Zach Wilson, like I can't imagine those are more than $50, $60 cards for a PSA 10, which there are a decent amount of them. So you're going to want to probably try and flip it as soon as maybe you see an opportunity, or it's maybe like you buy it and you try and set the market when it comes to like what the price of the card is. Like let's say you buy one of those cards for $40, $50, $60. Like maybe you try and price yours maybe try and buy it and then immediately list it back on eBay for, I don't know, $100 or $120. Like you have to look at, I think we're past a point in the market where the obvious opportunities are going to be double or triple your money, where I think now if there's an opportunity, you're going to have to take profit at, 20, 30, 40%, which like if you're running a business and you can flip something for 20 or 30%, like that's like a good, decent price. But I think we've been, what's the word I'm looking for? We've been blinded and we were wearing rose-colored glasses from over the past few years, where cards were doubling, tripling, quadrupling in a month because that's just what was happening in the market. I think there are probably opportunities for that, but I don't necessarily think that that's not the opportunity you want to look for. You want to look for opportunities to sell at, I don't know, 50%. Like if you can sell at a 50% upcharge, like that should be a pretty decent like go-to for you, I guess, rather than like the double, triple, quadruple, whatever. Injury prone. Yeah. I mean, the KD injury was absolutely, oh my God, I can't even believe that. The KD like injured his ankle in like a first warm up for the Suns. Like that was absolutely insane. Like what are the chances of that I don't know. I mean, it's not even really like it was his fault either. Like he was just going for a layup and the floor was wet and he twisted his ankle. It's like crazy. Zion, on the other hand, is like, I think the 2019 class is going to be like a potential catalyst for a lot of the market over the next few years. Like if Zion doesn't become a top, I don't even know, like 25 player, like I bet he's probably one of the players that had the most amount of money spent on him during his rookie season and through his rookie season. So like, I don't know. I think he's going to need to turn it around. Hopefully. I don't know if he will. Like, I hope that he does. Like I feel like he has the most upside of any of those players. But again, like most of the players, any player that has upside like Zion, his price is probably going to be affected already. Like his price, like even just looking at this, like the chart here, not even the chart, but the card, $710 for his Prism Silver, which is down 60% over the past year, is like still a significant decrease. And it's still like $700 for one card is still pretty crazy. Like if I had the $700 and you wanted to buy Zion, I would be looking for like a numbered Prism card or like a numbered RPA, which obviously it's probably a little bit tougher to find those, but I wouldn't buy these cards. But like this is my advice. If you're willing to spend $700 on a silver, I would just try and spend $1,000 or, $1,200 on like a numbered card of his. Like I said, I wouldn't do this necessarily based on his injury history. I do think that I have been fairly pro Zion because I'm just rooting for him. Because it's like, I think so many people have bought Zion cards that like, if his card market, if he goes on to be, I don't think he'll ever be like Greg Oden, but like hypothetically, if he turns out to be Greg Oden, he just stinks for the rest of his career. Like, that's going to have like a ripple effect on the hobby. Because like how many people spent hundreds of thousands and maybe even millions of dollars on his cards. Like, that money, you can't get it back. And you're going to have to sell his cards if you can even sell them. That's kind of the other thing. Like, he's always been the hottest player, but like, if we get 4 or 5 years from now and he still injury prone, still maybe like hasn't really played in the playoffs, all this kind of stuff, like, I don't know. It is a little bit dangerous. So SlabStox said, how close are these two players to completely losing interest in the sports card market? Sort of kind of what I was just talking about. Their cards have dropped significantly over the past few years, but another injury occurring for KD and a setback for Zion. Is it time to move on completely? I think for Zion, I think it's, you move on and you try and flip his cards. You get whatever money you can for his cards. KD, I do think that long-term, he will be looked at as a top 5 player of this generation of basketball. Like, I think whether you like KD or you don't, like, I do think that he's probably he's a top 5 player at his peak in his career. Like, I think you look at like LeBron, Steph Curry. I think Kawhi Leonard is also in that conversation of like a top 5 player. I'm not going to include like Luka or Tatum because like they're sort of I think they're in a new generation. I'm trying to think. I mean, I think even Giannis is in like a new generation of players, so I wouldn't include him on this specific list that I'm talking about. I mean, I'm thinking like, Kawhi, you could even maybe put in that new-ish player conversation, but I think I'm looking at like the 2000 or maybe even just the 2000 to 2010, like those types of players. Like, obviously it's LeBron. Obviously, I think KD on that list. I think you could, just trying to think of other players that maybe drafted in that time era. Like, and anybody else. I'm interested too, like what the chat thinks about like who is maybe on this list of players that like long term, even though right now maybe he's going through a little bit of turmoil, whether it's going to a super team or it's any of those types of things. Like, I don't know. I think, like I said, KD will go down as a top player of this generation when it's all said and done. Like, he's obviously going to be a Hall of Famer, obviously going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, will probably be the premier player that goes into the Hall of Fame, whatever year he goes in. I think that's probably the case as well. Oops. The sports card industry, where would you spend $3,000? Either get an autograph of a player that has never averaged over 20 points or a player who has never averaged under 20 points, which I'm guessing, LeBron and Devin Vassell. I don't even know who that is. Oh, no, I don't. I really don't even know who that is. 2020 rookie. The class was okay, so maybe I haven't really paid as much attention there, but like, I think you got to, I don't even think this is really a conversation. I think you got to go with LeBron. I don't even know really who is spending $3,000 on a card like that. Like, sure, it's a number to 10. Sure, it's an RPA, National Treasures on card auto. But like, I don't even know who is spending the money on a card like this. Like, I don't know why. It's really almost seems like a no-brainer. Like, let me see. Comments. Devin is solid. Overpaying. Trevor Lawrence, silvers. Yeah. Comparing National Treasures number to 10 to a second-year LeBron auto. Two totally different cards. I see that point that they're two different cards. But, like, this is maybe even the conversation that it's a sort of similar thing. Like, it's just like, if you have the 3K, I would go with the LeBron card. I mean, you have a on-card auto of LeBron or a rookie who, sure, maybe is good, but, like, is only in their second year. Like, sometimes the card market, like I said, just doesn't make sense. Things within the hobby don't make sense. And I don't know, for new people coming in, like, I guess it's interesting. It's weird to look at these types of cards even and just say, like, well, why is one card even selling? Why would one card even sell for 3,000? Like, I get it. It's number 10. It's our National Treasures RPA on card auto, but it's like, I wonder what the actual, like, I understand that the market is determining the value on these types of cards, but I do wonder, like, what the actual market value of this card really is. Like, it almost feels like they're eventually down the road, there's going to be some sort of computer program that's developed that's going to say what it's going to actually determine what the price is based on performance on the court, set, auto, player, maybe stuff off the court. I don't know how you would put that stuff in, but, like, maybe it's like social media following or something, but I just feel like there's going to be down the road something, some sort of computer program that's going to say, like, this is actually what the price of this card should be, and it's going to be maybe potentially different than what the market is actually for it. You know, I guess maybe it's maybe wishful thinking. It's maybe another thing that's like, I don't know if it's actually even possible, but I just don't see how. I don't think that these, like, I don't understand how these cards are both worth the same amount of money, I guess is my point. Like, that's where I look at it and I say, it just doesn't make sense to me. And somebody coming into sports cards, like, I don't know how they would look at it and even think that these cards would be similarly priced, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. I think it's sponsored by Nalgene. Let's see what else we got. We could do. Let's switch to another great Instagram account that you should follow is Card Talk Pod, 1:37 p.m. Gary V's agency. I'm a big fan. Obviously, I know these guys pretty well. I did. Hold on, let me refresh here because I just signed in. Love this graphic. Also, we got Lou, Tyler, and Ryan, card collector 2. Really, yeah, very cool. Oh, yeah, we got Lou rookie card, which I think that's Mark Sanchez, if I had to guess. Luka Modric, I think that's who this is. No, or Christian Eriksen. I'm not 100% sure. And then obviously the Brady, we got Ryan, card collector 2. Big, obviously love the Pats love there. Let's see. They post a lot of videos. Let's see. What's this one? Always fun seeing players opening packs and pulling their own cards. Jacob deGrom. How do you feel about Jacob deGrom this season? Will he stay healthy and return to Cy Young form after signing a huge contract with the Rangers? Yeah, so I guess he must have opened some Top Series 1, and looks like he pulled his own card there. Pretty sweet. DeGrom, yeah, signs that huge contract. Pitchers are kind of in that conversation too, I feel like, with position players in the NFL, where like they don't get as much love as hitters, even though like they're just as important. Like DeGrom, I feel like is in a weird kind of conversation because like he played for the Mets and like he has like he's got to be like the lowest career average of like run support or something along those lines. Like it is pretty crazy to me that like when I feel like whenever he was pitching for the Mets would score like a run or 2 runs. And like he had this like crazy stat where it was like he had like the lowest run support like every single year. I don't know if going to the Rangers is going to change that. I mean, I know that they have spent a lot of money on players trying to get a little bit better. I mean, I think that they just got I think last year they got a new stadium. So yeah, I mean, we'll see maybe the Rangers, I mean, being in the West, I think they've got kind of a, interesting division, Astros, Angels, which, I mean, we'll see what the Angels do this season. I mean, I feel like they're always like a disappointment when it comes to like how well they play. I don't know. They post a lot of videos. I actually like their style here. Let's see what they have to say.
That's going to sign
50% Rogers, 30% Jimmy G, 10% Mike White and another veteran, 10% pain and suffering.
Tannehill's not even on your radar.
Not even on my radar because the GM said they're not trading him.
Tannehill said that's pain and suffering is what that is for Lou.
No,
GM,
Tannehill would be like in that level above.
What do I think happens?
Yeah, your prediction. Who are the Jets going to sign?
Jimmy G.
Yeah, I think it's Jimmy G or Jameis Winston.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I like both options.
Love prediction.
There are a ton of good quarterbacks right now, honestly, like that. I just wonder what they're going to like. I mean, how do you draft Zach Wilson and like mess up that pick so bad? Like, how do you mess up that pick? There were so many quarterbacks in that draft. Like that was 2021 quarterback draft class. Like, let's take a look. Let's see if there is a NFL draft buzz. I mean, I just kind of want to look at. Do you just want to look at like a Football Reference? I mean, I probably honestly can just. I probably don't even need to look up draft class. I probably can just look up draft class and look at Pro Football Reference. Share this one. So the draft. Yeah, so I don't know how this draft is so stacked, but like the drafting of Zach Wilson is so baffling. Like, I don't understand how you miss on a pick this bad. Like, I don't know how, like, look at this. Like, Mac Jones, I mean, that was at 15. Davis Mills, I mean, even at 67. Justin Fields was in this draft. Like, Trey Lance, Sam Ehlinger. Like, I mean, there are enough players in this draft that are like so good that like, I mean, if you're the Jets, you got to just be kicking yourself. I mean, obviously no one has foresight to be like, oh, Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, he's going to come to the Jets. Oh my God, this is small. Let me see if I can. Yeah, sorry about that one. Here we go. There we go. There's a better look at this. I mean, like I said, Mac Jones, Davis Mills, Justin Fields. I mean, Justin Fields and Trey Lance being lower picked than Zach Wilson is gotta be just, oh my God. And then you look at like, I mean, touchdowns. Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle. I mean, this is crazy. Look at these wide receivers. Josh Palmer, even Elijah Moore, which is a Jets pick, which is good. Nico Collins, I think, is a little bit underrated. Rashad Bateman. I mean, look at these wide receivers and then you drafted Zach Wilson, and now you're trying to sign or trade for Aaron Rodgers or sign for I don't know, whoever. Like, it's obviously you don't have the foresight, or maybe you should. Maybe that's why the Jets are the Jets, and they don't have the foresight to look down the road and say, like, oh, these players may or may not become available potentially. Like, maybe our number 2 pick, we don't want to invest in a bust, I guess. But at the same time, like, it's only the 3rd or 4th season for these players. So, like, who knows? Maybe Zach Wilson goes somewhere and it's all about the system. Like, I think that's one of the things with quarterbacks too, is like, if they don't have the right system, they're just not going to perform well. Like, they're not going to perform up to their potential because the system isn't set up for them to excel, which is unfortunate, but it's just like, that's just the scenario sometimes, So I think we're done here. I'm not going to watch a ton of the videos. Let's see. We got upcoming sets this week for Beckett. Let's see if we can make this a little bit bigger. It doesn't really matter. I mean, we'll go about the same here. So, all right. So, I mean, Beckett, obviously phenomenal resource if you're looking or trying to learn about cards. Releases this week. So March 8th was Bowman's Best, which is kind of interesting because, like, that's last year's product, 2022. So, like, but there's still 2023 products coming out. Like, I don't know. It's something that I've talked about ad nauseum in podcasts and stuff. It's like, once the new sets are starting to come out, just you gotta wipe your hands clean and go on to the next year. Like, we have to figure out a way to stop from last year's sets coming out when the new sets are coming out for this year. It's like, it's probably confusing, to be honest, for some people that are getting into cards, because they look at the sets that are coming out and they're like, well, why is the new sets of rookies getting rookie cards, but Julio Rodriguez is still getting rookie cards? Like, why are there 2 sets of rookies that are getting cards that are released? Donruss is like, this is like one of the worst designs I think we've had for a card in like a while. I'm going to switch over to the product. Like, it is, I get that they're trying to maybe innovate a little bit here with the design, but it is like, they had so many, it's not like they have one design choice for all of them. But this is the one that they end up going with. Like, I've come from I've started my sports card career looking at designs, and I'll say that this is probably my least favorite base card design that I have seen since I got back into sports cards. I just don't understand. I just don't know what they're doing with this design. Like, let's see if there's any other. No, this is the checklist. Let's see if there's any other. Because also the problem with it is that it's a bad design, but it's also the design for across all of their sports, across Donruss and Optic. So it's like, I get that it's like a 3D sort of type of thing. Like, Topps has kind of tried to innovate a little bit with their designs, going a little bit more futuristic, but it's like, I just don't even know what they were thinking. Like, I don't know how you make the design better. I guess I get that it, like I said, it's sort of like a 3D type of design, like all of the like shadowing, but it's like with a product like Donruss, I feel like it's almost over designed. Like, I feel like it's just, I don't know what it is about it. Like, I feel like it's just too designed, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like Donruss almost is like hoops in a way which I guess now is the comparison that I just kind of used was like hoops, or Donruss is like also going to be Optic. So it's like, but if you look at like some of the even 2022, Donruss basketball. Let's see. So this is 2022, is it? I mean, I also don't like last year's design either, if I'm going to be completely honest. Like, let's see if I can find yeah, like I don't even. I mean, last year's design is not good either. I'm trying to pull this up here. I mean, last year's design, like I said, it's better than this year, but like, I feel like I don't know. I feel like they tried to go a little bit too over the top. Let me see 2021 Donruss basketball. Let's see if this design 2020. Oh, so no, 2020. 2021. I don't know. I guess I do. Is that right? Yeah. So 2020, 2021. I do like this design because it's simple, but it also uses different color elements, and the border uses the Rated Rookie logo. I like how they have this one put together. Let me compare. I mean, yeah, it's just like it's like going back in time. Like I feel like they tried to make this design. They tried to recreate this design but make it different with the 2021 product, but they just like it didn't use enough of the I feel like it didn't use enough color in the design, where here there's some I like I said, I like the composition of this one better. I like the composition better than I like the composition of this one. And let me see if I can actually find a 2022 Donruss basketball. Let me see if I can find a better image. 2023. Let me see if I can find a better image of the design. Because I have seen some with the white border, because I do feel like I'm just gonna go back. And I mean, it's weird that they also like changed the Donruss logo on the design of the card. Like it almost feels like with this one, it's this Donruss design, which I do like this logo more than the logo used on this card. I think that this one is okay. I think that if they had used this logo design, I would have liked it a little bit better. But yeah, overall, I mean, I just think they dropped the ball a little bit with this design, to be honest. Let's see. We'll go back to the calendar. We got Immaculate Football. Again, same thing that I keep saying. The draft for this year is in a month, and they're still coming out with the old rookies. Like I don't know. It's unfortunate. Immaculate is a good product. We're getting closer to the end for football, so that's good. But we're also getting closer to the draft, so it's like they're not going to figure out the schedule, because now at this point they have no reason to. But like, I wish that they would figure it out. Let's see. We got some hockey releases on the horizon next week. I think first off the line, football. Again, a design that feels like they tried to do a little bit too much. I think, just a little bit too much, in my opinion. Like, Prism in the past is a staple, in cards overall, but like it feels like now it's a little bit oversaturated, and maybe it's past a point where it's the go-to design for, or the go-to product for basketball and football. If Topps buys Panini, that's going to be an interesting conversation. Like, is what's going to happen to Prism? Like, I wonder, because like UFC, WWE, they're still with Panini. So like Panini is still going to be making those products. They're still going to have Prism products. But like, does Topps license Prism? Like, is it a brand that, I don't know. Is it like, are we going to get to a point where Panini starts like selling brands? Like, cause I mean, I feel like, and I don't know, maybe it's a little bit different because like Panini bought Contenders, like the Contenders brand. They bought the Contenders brand, Contenders football brand. Let me see, because I know I have. Let's see, Contenders football history. It was owned. It wasn't. It was previously owned by a different company. Let's see if I can find it here. I'm going to pull this up. Contenders football debuted in 98, 2000. I think it was like 2015. Where's the hit? There should have been a history thing here. From Donruss. So Donruss Playoff. When Panini purchased Donruss Playoff in 2009, they continued to use the Playoff branding through 2011. However, in 2012, the name switched to Panini Contenders. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be the story of Prism. Like, if Topps buys Panini, does that then turn into like, does this story then become, because then what happens to Contenders? I mean, there's so many, I feel like Panini has so many iconic brands too, that like, I wonder what's going to happen when these brands like how is Topps going to come in and create the Contenders for football? Like, because that's important, I feel like, and that's maybe something that people aren't thinking about. Like, what's going to happen to these iconic brands when Topps owns all the licenses? When Topps comes in and either, starts building up these new brands that they're trying to, but like how, I don't even know how I'm not even sure how they would be able to do it. Like, does Panini, like, is it a brand that Panini they would sell? Because like Contenders football is like, or is it that they're just going to hold on to the brand? I don't know. There's so much speculation in the hobby that we don't really know like what's going to happen, because Panini bought Donruss Playoff, which was a company, and they changed it to Panini Contenders for basketball and for football. Football obviously being the more important of the two, but they swapped the branding and it became a popular brand. Are they going to do the same thing for Prism, I guess? Like, if Topps bought Panini, like, what are the brands that continue? What are the brands that they get rid of? Like, Prism is probably on there. National Treasures is probably on there. Contenders is probably on there. I'd say Flawless is probably on there. Donruss is probably on there, which Donruss and Optic are probably together. But I mean, other than that, I mean, maybe Mosaic, just because it's like a brand that has become more popular over the past few years. But like, other than those brands, like, I guess I would be interested to know, like, what are the most valuable brands when it comes to Panini sports cards? Like, that's something that I think is actually that would be an interesting statistic that I don't know where you'd be able to pull the data from, but like market cap of certain branding, certain sports card brands within the hobby. I don't know. I guess it's like, I don't know. I think it's interesting. It would be interesting to know that kind of information. I guess we'll never really know, because that's like, how can you even really tell? I mean, I get the, market cap is from market cap on Card Ladder is pulled from sales versus population. But either way, I just think, we wouldn't, there's no way to really know when it comes to specific brands within specific brands, I guess. But like I said, Prism this year, I don't know. Cause it's like, it's also the thing about Prism is, like I said, it's a card that's used across different sports. It's used across WWE. It's used across UFC. So it's like, I don't love what they did with the design this year. I think that the designs, in my opinion, have gone downhill a little bit from, I think 2016 was probably one of my favorite designs. And then I think even last year was fine. I think it was 2018. I did like the rookie card design from that year. I thought 2019 was okay, but I think 2020, 2021, even 2022, this is 2022 actually. So 2020, I'm trying to think, it was an okay design. That was the Joe Burrow, Tua draft. 2021 was okay. That was the Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson draft. And then this is this past year's draft. It is, I think they just tried to do a little bit too much with a brand that's like, in the past, we've seen such classic, simple designs with Prism that, like, I think that they tried, like I said, it's a little bit too much. I think that they could have gone in a different direction. I would have liked it a little bit better. Let's see, what else do we have? Beckett. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I think actually that's pretty much all I've got. Covered a bunch of different topics today. Thank you all for watching. If you're listening, thank you. I think it'll probably be, I don't know where the podcast and stuff like that's going to come out with some of these things, but yeah, if you are interested in following, if you're watching this previously and you watched the hour and 46 minutes, I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I will talk to you later.